What up?
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 30th issue of Why Am I Nerve Sense? Yo, Wud Up Comics, where each and every week we get together to talk all things comics, from old to new, fan theories to what ifs. We got you covered. I'm Cameron James, and joining me, as always, the golden voice of the podcast, Matt Ferreira. And our guest today is none other than Eitan Richardson. What is up, fellas?
What's going on,
How's it going, guys?
Right.
Same old. Watching like Home Alone like 30 times in the past fucking week.
You know, it's funny you bring that up.
I brought it up because I know what you're going to say, and I need some backup. Yeah, That's the only reason why I brought that up right now.
Because I am of the factual belief, that Die Hard is in fact a Christmas movie. I back that up. Thank you. But I back that up with people who say it's not. I'm like, what's the difference between John McClane and Kevin McAllister? At the end of the day.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, other than the fact that one's a kid, like everything that Kevin McAllister did would have actually murdered those guys.
Oh, for sure. Clearly.
Like a paint can to the face. You're done. That's it.
Well, I don't remember that. The second one was on before we were getting ready, and I don't really remember. I was watching in pieces. Does he never like fight the two of them in that movie? Like, you know,
it's been a while since I've seen the second one.
Yeah, I really don't remember.
Because I know that in the first one, and for the record, in the first one, Marv, the tall ass skinny dude that's not played by Joe Pesci, gets like his ass beat. He gets his ass beat more than Joe Pesci does in that movie.
Does he get like electrocuted and set on fire?
Joe Pesci gets his head set on fire.
Oh, that's what it was.
The other guy, Marv, steps on like a fucking nail. He gets electrocuted. Joe Pesci must have said like, "Hey, I'll do this movie, but the other guy's got to get his ass beat more than me." There's no way, because it's just like he gets like, yeah. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, I get that they're trying to rob, but I mean, I get what you're saying about the John McClane thing, Kevin McAllister.
Wrong place, wrong time, defending people. Like, you just
John McClane's defending somebody. He's not. Kevin's not.
He's defending his home. It's the same thing.
John McClane also doesn't set up booby traps. He just mows people over with fucking every firearm he can find.
He had to set some traps here and there.
Yeah, there was a couple of traps here and there going on.
They weren't as elaborate as Kevin McAllister, but he set some traps. Kevin McClane. That's the fusion. That's the
yeah, but
Home Alone.
Well, the thing too is with both series, they both just went on too long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they were like Home Alone.
No argument there.
No argument there. 7 now or something. Yeah. Like, the third one was real bad.
Was it not even what's his face? Macaulay Culkin?
They changed the kid, didn't they?
Yeah. Which, like, you got to know it's going to fail from that. Yeah. Like, off the bat, you got to know it's not going to do as well.
I think it was the kid from Jurassic Park. I could be making that up. I know the kid in Jurassic Park.
No, that was that movie we were supposed to watch and we never did. That Space Kid or whatever.
Space
Kids from where it's like remember when we were doing Hero Cinema, there was a kid that found the kid found an Iron Man suit, but the suit was from space. That was the kid from Jurassic Park, because we looked on his IMDb and this kid did like no other movies, unsurprisingly.
You're right. You're totally right.
Sorry, I was gonna say I had a question.
Since
the two of you are the biggest Batman fans I know, but like I said, Eitan is one of the foremost comic book experts in my opinion. So I got to ask this question: who wins in a fight, Batman or Spider-Man? Straight up, just meeting in the street.
You can't put rules.
I said just straight up meeting in the street. There's not a rule. They just met in the street. They're fighting.
Well, Spider-Man's a bitch. He loses.
Okay, so this one is interesting because the spider sense thing. The spider sense is such an OP power, and it's always in the writer's hands, and that's how they use it. Sometimes it just gets nerfed, and to the point where it's like he could have just figured it out with the spider sense. And then there's times where he uses it and you'd be like, oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
With that said, Batman he's a bad dude. I mean, my love for Batman started late. And then, retroactively, I had to kind of just pick up and put everything together. But Batman, I think he would find a way. The only issue that Batman would have is the fact that Peter's strength is proportionate to the spider. So I don't think Batman would assume that Peter would hit him with full strength. But once he hit him with that full punch, I think that'll give him a little bit more of a problem. Everything else, Batman would take it. I think he's prepared himself to take on a lot of scenarios to the point where it's just embedded in his mind, but it would be a tough fight.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. I can accept that.
Yeah, what's up? I mean, because you saw, because you have seen some stuff where, and I agree with that, Tom. Like the spider sense is written.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you don't know how it's going to be written.
Well, that's what pissed me off with the first movie. Was it Homecoming, where the director straight up said, "Yeah, we didn't put it in there because we felt like we've seen that power enough." I'm like, what? Can he still stick to walls? Because I've seen that power too. Like you can't just take away one of his core abilities and. So I had issues with that. But
there was a what if story where I believe he was trained by Wolverine to use his spider sense to the fullest ability. And it was to the point where he was just predicting the future. And it was so OP. It was just like
so weird.
I'm Googling that right now. I need that book.
I think it's called What If Spider-Man became an assassin. I just know that he trains with Wolverine, and Wolverine basically brings out everything out of him. And it's just ridiculous how OP he can be.
That's crazy.
I think What If Spider-Man was the Punisher? You ever see that?
Oh, yep.
That's fucking wild. I want to read that one, but I wish it was more of like, I think there's one shots.
Yeah.
Like I have it somewhere. They just came out with the multiverse. Where the fuck is it? Oh, here it is. The multiverse Flashpoint. Tales from Multiverse, the Flashpoint.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a rewritten I haven't read it yet. It's just a rewritten version of Flashpoint, which it looks like the front cover is Batman hunched over Barry Allen's tombstone and Reverse Flash is in the background.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
So that should be interesting. But before we get into a lot of things, there was a breaking news I saw literally 25 minutes before we went on here. So I have the link for this. You guys don't. This blew my mind. I thought it was really fucking weird. Zack Snyder's Justice League might be getting an R-rated theatrical release. Zack Snyder is looking to bring his highly anticipated director's cut of the Justice League to the big screen, and his new footage would likely tip the 4-hour opus into an R rating. Here's one piece of information nobody knows. The movie is insane and so epic that it is probably going to need an R rating. That's one thing that I think will definitely happen, that it will be an R-rated version for sure, Snyder tells EW. We haven't heard from the MPAA, but that's going to be my gut feeling. As the reason why is we have made Batman drop massive amount of F-bombs.
That is my attention.
That is. I agree. I mean,
realistically, though, the way they do Batman in those movies, like I don't know what he's gonna do when they're actually facing off against the big bads, because like Batman in that original cut was just kind of on the sideline, like, all right, we need help, because like realistically, what the hell is he gonna do? But that's interesting, though. I kind of like that more because I've been on this before. I don't know if you know this, but I personally think Ben Affleck was the best casting we've seen in a while for Batman.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And so I hope they give him enough to work with to really make that character fleshed out. But outside of beating up like the parademons, I really don't know what he's going to do in terms of the big fights. Like, he's really, fuck, I'm out. Like something like that.
I feel like Affleck, he kind of didn't benefit to play Batman. They didn't flesh him out. Like you said, they didn't flesh him out enough to even where he can kind of tactically position people into place. It was just kind of like, oh, he was just there. He fights a little parademon. And then, even with the fight with Doomsday, he was just chilling in the back, just like, hey, you guys got it.
He's like, I got this gun, like, which is also weird for me. Like,
I do agree with the casting of Affleck, and that sounds good. I would love to see more, just make sure that it just flows together.
Yeah, because I have the same issue too. I've said that a few times.
It's just like, okay, you have all the pieces. You just kind of fit them together. Once it fits together, the story will tell itself.
Yep.
We've been just following this a lot recently, as well as the rumored of DC shutting down or getting sold again. I'm not with the two of you. I don't like the casting of Ben Affleck, to be honest with you. And the more and more I think about it, I think the reasons why is I think the timelines are off. When I think of Ben Affleck as Batman, he's much more older, and the timeline of him in Batman vs Superman doesn't line up with the Batman Returns graphic novel by any means. Like, Superman's like older in that. He's not. So it throws him for a loop. I think if the timeline made a little more sense, maybe I would get a little more behind it. Like,
I can feel that.
Like if it was like a Kingdom Come time frame, and like Batman Returns, and they're like older. Fine, but
I never understood that. That's pissed me off from the beginning. That Batman was Batman for 20 years at the time of Batman vs Superman. I'm like, why? Like, what was the rationale? Why did he need to be Batman for? He could have been 5 years. He could have been Batman for 5 years, had the exact same effect. There was no reason to make him that old.
Oh, I agree. But Batfleck is kind of old though.
But
getting on in age, you have to cast a younger actor, and then if you want to, just have like a flashback in terms of training, and then show him as he is now, and then just tell the story from then moving forward. I kind of understand.
Yeah. Or, I mean, if they really didn't want to show it, like, just don't take his mask off. I honestly would have been fine with that, too. Like, you could just have a costume the whole time. But, I don't know.
I mean, I didn't really like his suit either. I didn't like his suit palette. I
hated his suit. I hate the short ears. I have a big ear. I want the long eared, that classic look. Like, honestly, the video game, we said this before, the video game was the best look overall.
Easily.
Yeah, I have it right there. You guys can't see it, but there's a Batman. There's a 1/6 scale figure right here.
Really?
Of that. Yeah, there's that one.
He's got a full on Batcave. If
you haven't told, I'm like in my Batcave right now.
It's funny. I was going to record in front of my little shrine to the Bat. Like, no,
I got Batman in cases that way. I got Batman right there. I got it behind my head. It's like all over the fucking place. Nice. But yeah, I think like that's like my gripe is, and I don't think the timeline of the DC like movie universe even makes sense right now. Like none of it is like
they don't know what they're doing.
The age gap is off. The fucking what happens in the books compared to what happens in the movies is off. And I get it. Like you're not going to follow it, tit for tat, but it's fucking off. And
completely.
As a comic book fan, and I get it that you're not writing movies for necessarily for comic book fans, because half of the people that watch these movies don't even know how to fucking read a comic book. But like, it doesn't make sense, and it's unfortunate. And I hope that they figure it out with this fucking.
Yeah, they need to get it together.
And I hope the Flashpoint movie just fucking erases it, because
that movie didn't get canceled. I thought that was one of the ones that they were saying wasn't going to happen. Now I might be wrong on that. Flashpoint is still happening.
Yeah, I believe that's how I heard it was still happening.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know why I thought I missed something up there. My bad. I thought they were saying that wasn't going to be a thing.
I mean, at the rate it's going right now, the Flashpoint movie and the new Spider-Man movie are going to be the same fucking movie. It's going to be like Die Hard and Home Alone.
Like, I don't. I'm so like iffy. Like, part of me wants to be really excited for the new Spider-Man movie, and the other part's like they're doing too much. It's the curse of the third Spider-Man movie, where they do too much, and then the whole franchise tanks, and they got to blow it all up again. So
but they do kind of have an ace in the hole, because if you follow the roadmap, is going to lead to, they've been doing branching paths in time and space.
Yeah.
So, they kind of could lean on that a little bit without leaning too much on it, where then there would be, too much scope in the movie. But if you look at the roadmap, it kind of hints everything out where it'll make sense. I think the third movie will I think it would make up for it, especially since it ties in directly to Doctor Strange and the WandaVision show.
I was just about to say the WandaVision show might make that a little clear, because I think Doctor Strange is like 2022 at this point.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get invaded by aliens before then anyway, so we might as well.
What?
I mean, 2020. There's still 3 weeks left in 2020. I'm not taking anything off the table.
Did
you read? Did you read the article about the the Islamic scientist that said that Earthlings?
Oh, I did see that actually. That the guy from, I think it was Israel. That he was like, I was on this major commission that there's a galactic federation, but Earth is crazy. I read that too. But
the best part of that whole entire article is when he says the Earthlings and the Galactic Federation have a signed contract. How does an alien know how to fucking sign an Americanized document?
It's we learned English. It's our findings. But why would they sign it? Because what happens if they break it? What are we going to sue them? What are we going to take to space court?
Lawyers, space lawyers.
I don't know. And apparently there's an underground base in Mars at the Earthlink. This guy's calling us Earthlings. This motherfucker's an alien. The Earthlings and the Galactic Federation working together because the Galactic Federation says that Earthlings aren't ready for them yet. What does that fucking mean?
What does that mean? If they're out there and they're more powerful than you might as well just drop the knowledge on us, right? That.
Yeah.
Or the fact that how do we even communicate with them or anything along those lines? I know there was one movie, I forget what it was, I was watching, and they're the Earth's what the fuck was it? Would they maybe it was anyway, and they were like, oh yeah, they sent an alien here because he felt that Earth was finally ready. Oh, it's fucking in never mind. It's in Invincible. I have so much shit on my fucking desk.
Oh,
in Invincible, he's like, why are you here? And he's like, oh, I'm from the Galactic Federation and we didn't feel like Earth was ready, but I did. So I showed up here anyway. And I'm here to protect it because it's like, okay, fine. And I guess it's the same fucking thing. So I guess Invincible is going to be a real life fucking human being in a matter of time.
It's going to have Vitruvians flying around.
Look, apparently they already know how to fucking sign and write English, so.
They're all right.
But once again, this is Why Am I Nerd, presents Wud Up Comics. You can follow us on Instagram at Why Am I Nerd Official, Facebook.com/Why Am I Nerd, and listen to new issues every Tuesday on YouTube and your favorite podcast service. Looking for some video game talk? Listen every Monday to Why Am I Nerd's flagship podcast, Alpha Beta Gold, where Justin, Just Matt, Jason, and myself get together to talk about nothing other than video games. If you're looking for a video game podcast about news, this is definitely not for you. But if you're looking for some honest, no bullshit opinion about the video game world, check out the show. Last but not least, don't forget to tune in every Wednesday, which tends to actually now be Thursdays, to Why Am I Nerds 4th and 1, where Matt, Sean, and Anthony talk about all things sports. Whether you're a diehard New York Giants fan, play fantasy football, just looking for some weekly recaps in the sports world, these guys are your one-stop shop. Sorry, Jocks, once again, for like the third week in a row, calling your ass out. You're a fucking nerd. So here we go. Bunch of stuff hot off the press this week, courtesy of the Planet Bugle. Matt wants to start us off with none other than the Disney Plus investors recap and announcements.
Yeah, this was big because I actually didn't know this was happening. I started getting texts about people like, did you see this trailer? I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? But apparently, Disney announced 52 things as far as updates on movies, shows, Disney Plus, and more. And this comes to us from TheVerge.com. So I'm just going to list some of the series.
Yeah, we don't have to go over the whole thing, but there's a couple.
We got the first look at Loki, which was, I think, the big thing here. Like, we already kind of saw some stuff from WandaVision and the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. Although I will say the Falcon Winter Soldier show has huge production quality. Like that scene where he's flying through that canyon, I was like, holy shit, this looks like a movie.
Yeah.
I really thought it was going to be like really like, not cheaply done, but I didn't think it was going to look like that.
They did say too that WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki's only 6 episodes, which I thought was
really.
So I was like, okay, either A, they spent way too much fucking money on it, and they're like, oh, we just can't do more than 6.
Drop the last 2
because 6 is a weird number. It's not. It's like it's almost like they're like, hey, we have this movie, but it's probably not going to do well in the theaters. So let's just put it on Disney Plus and give it.
I mean, that's not a bad plan, though. All things considered.
Yeah.
I mean, the Loki trailer, I definitely think was the most probably talked about because I think it showed the most plot type points and whatnot.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be Doctor Doom?
Who? Where?
In the Loki movie?
I did not see Doctor Doom at all.
Okay, because there's one shot.
I think
of a
my
guy.
head would have exploded. I would have been so excited.
There's a shot in the trailer of a guy, and it's just like black, and you just see like a cape and a hood up.
I got to rewatch it, but I don't think that was him. Considering they just announced that they're making a Fantastic Four movie, which is another thing on this list. Huge. Like I've said for the longest while I'm sorry, I'm just going to completely change the subject. Since he's my second favorite comic book character. Like, they need to make this movie. They need to do, honestly, in my opinion, a straight up Doctor Doom movie and have the Fantastic Four as ancillary characters. They need to slowly work them back into the greater theme of things because they've had so many failed movies. Like, you can't have them just come out and be, boom, we're the Fantastic Four again for like the 4th time. Oh, that's actually kind of funny. I didn't even think about that. There's been 3 other movies. But no, you just gotta, you've got to start from a different angle with them. Like, have them show up and then like slowly build the interest in the characters, kind of like what they've done with other characters, in these Marvel just epics. Just have people show up in one movie, then in another movie, then they get their own, and then they kind of work their way in.
I agree to a point. But I would do it a little differently. I would kind of have them give them the Sentry treatment. And I feel like if people don't remember, the Sentry was just a superhero that people forgot. Oh. So have them appear or be rescued, and then the world doesn't remember them, and give them the Captain America treatment mixed in with the Sentry treatment. So they have to adjust to a new world while trying to remind people who they are. And they're scientists, for lack of a better term. You can easily kind of just put them in anywhere in the MCU and just kind of bring them along. But I feel like with the team like that, you can do it bigger, especially since, phase 1 was huge. We didn't expect that. So you have to kind of take a step higher and just make it bigger.
That makes sense though, because you could even say that Reed used like the energy that the Pims were dipping into, or I should say more Scott Lang was dipping into to pull out. Maybe they were trapped in the negative zone, and he just piggybacked that energy to ride back out. Boom, here they are. That's why they weren't in the fight at the end. That is a great idea.
Although on the flip side with Dr. Doom, I think I think you could plant the seeds with him a little earlier. He can be a scientist in the background. You can name drop him here and there, or he's already a leader of this.
Yeah, he could have already. Yep.
And then you just kind of, he's there in the background, just looming. And once the Fantastic Four comes in, you could kind of just set them to butt heads. But
he's like, my old nemesis returns. He's like, now I'm out of hiding. Like,
yeah.
I kind of feel that the Fantastic Four shouldn't have rushed into a movie. I think they should have done a TV show.
I don't hate that idea. I just don't know if they could have drawn enough attention because they have so much bad press already. I will say, if they cast John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, I think that would kind of waive all those fears. People love that idea.
They're not going.
Like, I hope they do. I mean, they're allegedly in talks.
Yeah, they're allegedly in talks. And John Krasinski he's always been kind of putting it out there. He wants to play something in the MCU. So I think,
and he was looked at it for Captain America originally, which I absolutely hated.
Yeah.
But for Reed Richards, I kind of love that idea. I could really see him pulling that off. And he would give it a little bit more of a human feel, because Reed's such a stiff character most of the time.
Yeah.
I think John Krasinski could actually pull it off and like humanize him a little bit more and make it work. I would also love to see the Maker brought in somehow. That's one of my favorite twists that they did in the Ultimate Universe, where Maker is an evil version of Reed Richards that now exists in the mainstream universe.
Absolutely.
Which you saw in Absolute Carnage. Yeah, that's who that is.
Yeah. He's like a tough character, I feel like, to introduce in the movies right away, because
definitely not right away. That's a build-up moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like that, like the Fantastic Four is kind of dull. I don't mean to be blunt about it, but like besides Doom, like, what are you gonna try to bring fucking Silver Surfer back in again?
What do you mean? You don't like the Mole Man? But I agree with you. Like that's why I think it needs to be Doom centric.
Yeah.
Like I think the way you're gonna like bring people back in.
Or Namor.
Yes, that I mean, not that
that'd be interesting.
Chadwick Boseman's death is a tragedy for multiple reasons. But one of my favorite things in comics recently was his rivalry with Black Panther. And I was very excited to see that. But now it's unfortunately never going to come to pass. But, rest in peace, Chad Boseman again. Well, which is another point on here. They're not going to recast him.
I was literally, you just took the words on. I was like, let's roll into that, because, Feige did say that it won't recast Chadwick Boseman in Black Panther 2. So what the fuck does that mean? Are they going to pass it on to
Shuri? Shuri, yeah, his sister. That's what happened in the comics. That's what would make the most sense here if they're not going to recast him. I think he gets some kind of iconic death. One of the best things I read online was that he would sacrifice his life and kind of go into I forget the name of that realm he was in with all of his like forefathers, and that would bring back the heart-shaped herb so that someone else could take over as Black Panther. Because right now, technically, if something did happen to him, there's nobody else that could reclaim that role.
Yeah, I think that that's a pretty nice little theory that you.
Yeah, I can't take any credit for that. I read that online. I can't take any credit for that.
I was about to say that's amazing, because
I'm like, no, I'm like, Feige, hire me. I'm right here.
No, I mean, I'm glad they're not recasting him. I'm curious as to how they would do the movie. I mean, it would be nice to have a Wakanda-centric movie. If you're going to tell the story of Shuri, make it, you could appease everybody, since she will be a female Black Panther. Let it be that she couldn't, if the tribe didn't want her to take the mantle. There's a lot of things you can do, but I'm just happy that, Chadwick Boseman, he did a hell of a job, and it's kind of hard to kind of fill the shoes.
I mean, I feel like the only way that they're going to bring T'Challa back into the movies is, well, obviously by recasting it. is they're going to do some weird timeline thing where it's like a different universe. And
Yeah, that would be the only other way they could kind of do that. But I think it's too soon. I think it almost dishonors his legacy. Like, they don't need the money for it. You know what I mean? It'd be a little bit different if it was something like that. Like, even look at The Dark Knight, where like they could have recast him, or there was rumors they were just going to put like sound clips of him together to like work something in. But it ultimately would have dishonored Heath Ledger's legacy. So they just didn't do it.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, but then you also gotta look at the fact of like, okay, so if they do, recast him and they say, hey, it's just child from a different universe, you already have the Multiverse of Madness happening in 2022. This Black Panther 2 probably won't come out till then. So that means you're probably not going to reintroduce him until maybe 2024, 2025. What is Doctor Strange? Every movie just going to be him going into another multiverse and being like, hey, what's up? We're like,
it honestly, it really might be. Like, I'm curious as to how this is going to work. Cause like you read with House of M, where he's like literally sitting with Wanda and he's pulling her out of different, like, oh no, I'm sorry. That was more Professor X, but still it might be that same kind of thing where he's pulling her out of different realities. Like, no, this isn't real. Like, you need to come back. Like, this is where you exist. Yeah. And then like, she's obviously going to shatter that, which I'm excited to see how they do that. I think that movie's going to be crazy.
Oh yeah, it should be amazing.
It might be a little bit like Inception. I could see them feeling.
Yeah, I could definitely. Well, it's like the first Doctor Strange where we had all those weird like camera angle, and camera angle's a poor choice of words, but they did a lot of creative things that I think we'll see even more of with Multiverse. Like, that's a movie that I'm going to watch once to absorb, and then I'm going to do drugs and watch it again. To really
the only way to do it, bro.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta watch this high just to really see what's going on here.
I think the biggest loophole though is the fact that it is happening after the Spider-Man movie, which I don't understand that.
So apparently all three of those are tied in together somehow. So it's possible that the Spider-Man movie takes place later, even though we're getting it first. That could be part of it. It's possible that Spider-Man, in trying to cover up his identity, breaks something. Like, Doctor Strange could show up in the Spider-Man movie, and that's the catalyst. And then, Wanda takes it a step further with her show. There's a couple different ways they could go with that. But I don't know. I've got to trust Feige. I've said it a million times. Like, I've got to trust him at this point. I might not love all the ideas I've seen, but I got to trust him.
I trust him. I'm just a little worried of scheduling because with the global pandemic and everything that's going on, let's say going forward, a movie which you want to watch these movies in the theaters, let's say, you're not able to watch it in the theaters. So does it still are these movies getting pushed back, and then the shows that are in between fill in the gaps? How that's going to be played out? Because right now, with everything's going on, it's easy to look forward and say, hey, that'd be amazing. But, a monkey wrench can be thrown in and it'd be horrible. I will say, the Shield TV show, the way it kind of tied in and weaved in throughout the MCU, it kind of worked, So if they were able to still continue and bottle that and move that forward, I would be completely happy, because then everything will make sense. You're watching a movie and then, Friday, the TV show's coming on, you'll watch the show and it will all come together. And I have faith in that they'll pull it off.
Yeah, because I actually need to go back and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I couldn't get all the way into it.
Honestly, I was the same way. I couldn't get into it, but there was a twist right around, not Winter Soldier. Actually, I think it was right around
Winter Soldier. Yeah.
There's a twist, and then it kind of kicks the show into like this next gear, and it takes off. Highly recommend.
The last show that I've watched, I'm still actually watching, I haven't finished it, that I don't get twisted out in movies a lot, and TV shows I normally can guess it. Not to sound like cocky or arrogant, but I just all right,
listen, you're a fellow Batman lover. I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, this is a problem. It's going to happen. But I was watching Lovecraft Country.
Mm-hmm.
How is that?
Bro, did you watch it?
Yes, I did.
The fucking twist with the girl, I'm not going to say it, blew my mind. I was like,
oh shit.
I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? I was like,
how many episodes is that?
8 or 10. It's 10 episodes.
All right, I'm gonna have to start doing that.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you, I was just like, what the hell?
I might start that after this tonight. All right, I've been curious about that for a little bit.
Storytelling at its finest.
Oh, and the thing that's cool about the show is there's there's like a main plot, but then each episode is like a little fairy tale kind of, and it tells like this little like tale of like something, but there's still like the main thing that's going on. But man, dude, I did not see it coming. Like
neither did I.
I was just like, okay, like
wow,
this is how this is gonna be, and I'm on the 6th episode now. It's an awesome show. I watched the first episode and I was like, all right, I'll get back to this. Then I just like the other day I was home before I played golf and I just binged like 4 episodes and I was like, this is awesome. This is really, really good.
Oh, it was a great show. My girlfriend actually got me to watching it. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And then next thing you know, we're just like, next episode, please. Please. It's really good.
But yeah, after that twist, I was like, I need to take a break from this show and let this sink in for like a fucking minute. It was great. It was great. But speaking of shows, moving on to our next topic here from the Planet Bugle, is there trouble on the Mandalorian set, which could lead to a massive, massive change, which is none other than them killing off Pedro Pascal's character for Boba Fett? Because apparently he has been causing issues with the production.
I know he hasn't wanted to really film a lot. Like he's more about doing the voice work now. I don't know if are there major spoilers in this? Am I going to be upset?
I mean, be careful when you read it.
Yeah, because I don't remember which episode was the believer.
So it's all over. This is about for Friday's episode, the last one.
Oh, so this is before. It doesn't reveal stuff for Friday's episode.
I haven't seen it, so I can't actually tell you what.
Okay, yeah, it is. All right, sorry.
Okay, because pretty much it talks about the fact that Mando takes his fucking helmet off. So the big thing was they didn't want him to ever take the helmet off. They were like, no, and I guess Pedro Pascal was like, no, I want to do this. This is how I want to be done. I want to be shown, yada, yada, yada. Which, why that causes such an uproar to be like, you know what, man, fuck you. We're going to kill your character and just bring Boba Fett. And instead, doesn't make much sense to me. I'm not a Mandalorian fan. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I don't watch it. But I did feel like this was an appropriate topic and conversation to have. I know, Matt, I know you watch the show.
I'm very big into this.
I'm letting it build up so I can just binge it one big stretch.
You gotta. Part of the draw to me for this show is just waiting every single week. Is because I'm like, all right, that was good. I need another one. I'll wake up Friday mornings. I'll wake up early before work so I have time to watch it.
Oh man.
But I guess moving forward, like this, this can carry on to another conversation of just recasting in general and killing off major characters and, major actors having maybe sometimes too much power. Look at Ed Norton with the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. He did a great job with it. The movie was great. It wasn't a bad movie by any means. And then they're like, yeah, you're an asshole. Fuck you. You want too much control. Let's just bring Mark Ruffalo in here. And now it seems like they're trying to do the same thing. With the conversation of this show, I know there's been a lot of uproar and a lot of people didn't like the fact that they gave, Baby Yoda a name. Mm-hmm. And now the fact that they're like, hey, the main character is causing problems, we might just fucking write his ass off. Is this show heading in the wrong direction?
Here's the other thing that's fucked up, because I saw a TikTok and this TikTok got deleted, and my friend Rocco and I were looking at it, we're like, we couldn't find it again. We're like, why the hell would this have gotten pulled unless it revealed something too accurate? And the TikTok, like, this is blowing my mind right now, because the TikTok was showing how Pedro Pascal also played the Red Viper of Dorne on Game of Thrones, where he had to protect a very small 50-year-old, and he had a spear to do it with, and he ended up very dead. He is not, there's no question about whether or not he's alive. So now I'm freaking out a little bit, because I don't need that for Grogu. I don't need that energy in his life. Like, that is not, oh God.
I mean, what do you think?
I mean,
you give me issues.
Well, I mean, I know the scene that you're talking about in Game of Thrones with the Red Viper. That's what happens for not wearing a helmet. So, let's just tie it all together. This is what happens when you don't wear a helmet, people. It's a problem. I can see it as a problem going forward, but seeing as how Grogu kind of just took the show to a new level, and a lot of people who aren't Star Wars fans are watching it, I kind of think that it could make up for it, as long as Grogu just takes the star role And
if he becomes a Mandalorian himself,
no, not the Mandalorian, but the show would be more centered around the child, and then Mando could be written off into the sunset, and Boba Fett could kind of come in, and you can keep the mythos around.
That's interesting way to put it. I never thought about that.
That really could work. That's crazy to think about, though, because people obviously love Boba Fett, and that was a character that, to me, I'm not going to say he wasn't cool, but I never understood why he got the love that he did. Because, like, if you go back and watch Star Wars, he really doesn't do anything. Yeah, he's just there. He doesn't even talk.
And then he went out like a punk. I mean,
really... So I guess where is this in the timeline? Because I forgot. The theory is that there's a million Boba Fett's. Like they say, like Boba Fett is like James Bond. Like there's a rumor that James Bond
he is a clone.
James Bond.
The James Bond thing makes sense to me, that's a code name that they pass along. Boba Fett is technically a clone. There at least there were like millions of Boba Fetts. He just wasn't fast aged like the other ones were.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the interesting thing is that, you know, with this being a Disney Plus show and Disney now going real hard, you could say, on the Star Wars shows. You know, when does this become too convoluted, and when is there too much? Like, when does Disney bite off more than they can chew? Because
when people stop paying for it.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much what it is.
Absolutely.
Everyone loves Star Wars so much. And that's something that, yes, it's been oversaturated recently, but you've got to think from like, when was the last movie out? Like 1983 was when the third movie or the original final movie got released. Then like 2000, they restarted everything. So for the last 20 years, they've just been milking this and it hasn't stopped producing. Like it's like a diamond mine that never empties.
Well, yeah. And then remember the Legends book series, which is being printed left and right.
Yeah.
And even within the story of Star Wars, they kind of left it open-ended and lots of plot holes so that anybody can kind of just jump in there and add in their 2 cents as long as it makes sense as a greater part of a whole.
Yeah, there's so much mythos to pull from. It's almost like the same with like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, where there's an entire world within that world and a full history that exists that you can draw from.
You think that Star Wars could carry Disney Plus? Because I don't. I think what carries Disney Plus is the animated stuff and the cartoons and the kid shows. I don't think it has anything to do with the Marvel stuff or the LucasArts stuff. Because
I mean, I think it depends on the age. Because I know for me, it's the Marvel stuff, and it's like watching the old shows that I grew up with. As soon as I heard Spider-Man the animated series was on Disney Plus, I was sold. As soon as that came out, I was like, they got me. It doesn't even matter at this point because I can't find that anywhere else.
Yeah, but look look at, not to cut you off, you know, rudely, but look at HBO Max and the DC shit. It's not really working.
I mean, but they suck. Like they haven't. No, I'm not saying DC sucks because like I loved how they took Batman the animated series and wrote it all the way up to Justice League Unlimited and Batman Beyond. They did a great job with that, and that I would pay money for. But the rest of what DC has done has been a mess. You can't release DC Universe, hype it up, fuck up the end of Titans, expect people to come back for season 2, and then move the whole damn thing to HBO Max that somebody already paid for DC Universe. Like they're doing a bad job.
I gotta cancel my membership for that.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out how to cancel it.
Exactly. That's where they got you. See, like they got like what $7 out of you every month for nothing.
Well, I gotta cancel it through like through iTunes. I gotta go on iTunes here and go to subscriptions. And
I've done that before.
And cancel it. But just going back onto that topic real fast of you know, with the Mandalorian thing, I think. Again, I don't watch the show, so for me to give my opinion, I would highly recommend looking you all in the eye. Take it as a grain of salt, because again, I'm not a Star Wars guy. But I think it is I think it's a poor choice because the dude wears a fucking helmet the entire time, so you could just literally get a new character or a new actor and call it a fucking day. Like,
that's very true too. Yeah, those stories are different, but like
yeah. I mean, to kill him off makes no fucking sense. And honestly, they could probably. I don't know what he sounds like in the helmet. Maybe they tweak his voice a little bit like they do with Bane or they do with Darth Vader. Like, I don't know if it's directly.
Not quite. It's got a little bit of a gravelly tone to it, but it just sounds like it's a guy talking under a helmet. There's nothing like crazy about it.
I mean, yeah. Then, I mean, I think you can easily just, instead of fucking killing him off, just recast the character and keep his fucking helmet on because you didn't need to see his face. And even when they showed the picture, when you looked at the picture, I said to Sean today, I was like, bro, he just looks like the dude from Game of Thrones. Like they did nothing to make his character unique. Like there was like a cool scar or fucking burns on his face and make him look like he went through fucking fights. He's just a dude.
Well, he's been wearing a helmet forever, so
right.
His face should be pretty protected.
No, I know, but there was just nothing cool about it. So I think it's a little bit of a. Am I surprised that this happened? No, because I feel like you see it all the fucking time with actors where they just have this like ego trip that they're like the next descendant of God, and they're not. And
which if I'm Pablo Pascal, I'm probably holding on to this because he tends to get killed off in a lot of the stuff he's in. Like no joke, because like he's the bad guy in the new Wonder Woman movie, and so considering that movie takes place in 1984, and we haven't heard of Maxwell Lord in Justice League, I'm gonna assume he doesn't make it all the way through. What was the other thing he was in? He was in oh God, he was the Western dude. The Kingsman sequel. He died in that. I don't know. If I were him, I might want to keep the paycheck for a little bit. Just I don't
know. He could be the new Sean Bean.
Yeah,
he could.
He does die in everything. But
I'm still shocked that they go. I'm sorry, I know I'm late to this. It took me forever to start watching Game of Thrones, but when I did, I knew Ned Stark was going to die. I didn't think it was going to be that early. That shit legitimately caught me off guard. I was like, all right, someone's going to save him. And like, shink, and I was like, hold up. What episode is this?
Yeah, he wasn't coming back from that one.
Yeah, bro, with his own sword. Like that shit was cold blooded.
But someone that is coming back is Daredevil. But maybe not only in Spider-Man, but apparently Feige hints at him showing up in She-Hulk.
So Daredevil's a man whore. I'm not shocked by that at all. I'm pretty sure he's gonna end up banging She-Hulk. I'm gonna call it right now.
What?
Really?
Yeah. Daredevil bangs Wolverine calls it out. An enemy is a state at one point. He does. Daredevil bangs like everyone.
I don't remember that.
Because at one point they're sneaking in. It's weird that I remember this exact scene when all the ninjas are sneaking into Daredevil's apartment, and Daredevil Wolverine sitting there. He's like, how, like, he says something. He's like, can't see, but like you get laid. Basically, he says he gets laid all the time. And how are you getting so much of something I've had so little of the last few years? And then they start fighting. Yeah.
Well, I guess my thing with this is
I have that book. Where is it?
I have it back there somewhere. I do think that obviously Disney does. We talked about this last week. I do think that he does need to come back, and I think they need to continue his kind of dark, gritty storyline and that sort of atmosphere. I don't think doing the bubblegum thing would work for him. But what I guess my question is, are they only going to be bringing him into this show because they realize that this show is just stupid? And who is asking for a She-Hulk show?
There's stories to be told with the She-Hulk show, because you can lean more on the courtroom side of the aspect. She's a lawyer. Obviously, the superheroes are there. They're not absolved from the law. So, they're going to contact Daredevil. They're going to contact She-Hulk because maybe their civilian identity needs help, with something. I don't know. They're most likely would lean on that, and which will make sense, in my opinion. And then for Daredevil to cross over into Spider-Man, it's only canonical, like you talk about Spider-Man and some of his closest allies. Daredevil,
Daredevil's like number one.
Is definitely one of many, but definitely is on that list. So I can see it happening. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I do think that if it's depending on the roles he will be playing in the shows and the movies, I think that Charlie Cox did an amazing job as Daredevil. And
yes,
for him to have a cameo here and a little story arc there is not enough for what he did for the character. And he would have to be center stage, give him a little shine, or a movie or a little series, so to speak. But I'm not mad at it. I kind of like it.
So I found it. You might have moved on, Murdoch. You might have betted all those blondes and redheaded broads since you two split. You're the biggest himbo that ever wore a pair of tights after all. But Elektra's only been in love once, and true love never dies. So yeah, that's what Wolverine going on the whole thing.
Wolverine's implying that Elektra's only loved him.
Well, yeah, but also that Daredevil gets around was the other part
She-Hulk.
of it. Yeah, fair actually.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess what does this do for the tone of She-Hulk then? Because again, I said it 2 minutes ago. Like, I feel like the Daredevil tone needs to be darker, and I don't feel like a She-Hulk show is going to be.
If he shows up, that's one thing, though.
Yeah, but what if he's like in it? Like he's like the second main character.
I mean, every comedian needs a straight man. I guess he'll be the straight
true,
man.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I guess he'll be the straight man because I can see She-Hulk leaning more on the comedic side, and Daredevil, he would be the perfect straight man to anybody's quipping, for the lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why not just give him his own show then? Like, is this you don't need to introduce him. He's not a new character. He's already had 3, 4. I guess you could technically say 4 TV shows based around him. So it's not like he needs to just be slowly built in, unless they're assuming that nobody watched the Netflix thing. But Netflix was the hottest thing going for the longest time. That everybody fucking was watching it. So it's not like he needs this slow build to get in. You could literally just put a show out and call it a fucking day.
Yeah, that's very true.
And just like scrolling through this article here from Cinema Blend, it pretty much says, where the fuck did I just missed it. How realistic is it that Daredevil could appear in She-Hulk? Prior to this week, I would have said the chances of Charlie Cox Devil showing up to talk shop with Tatiana Maslany's She-Hulk.
I don't know how to say her name.
Would have been firmly in a long shot, but not impossible territory. During Disney's massive investors presentation, however, Marvel's big boss Kevin Feige rather purposely teased viewers in a way that could potentially be seen as a nod towards Daredevil's return. Again, I'm not saying take what he says is like a great, as a grain of salt or whatnot. But I don't think that him showing up in She-Hulk is going to benefit that show. I think the only thing that's going to benefit that, not that show, his character is to, give him his own
stage.
Because here's the other thing the thing about is. Yeah, it was a Netflix show, and granted, you have people, like Sean, 4th and 1 Sean, and our partner here. He's seen all the Marvel movies, he's watched Marvel movies, but he's never seen the Daredevil TV show. So if he shows up in the Spider-Man movie, Sean's not going to be like, "Holy fucking shit, it's Charlie Cox." He's probably just be like, "Who's it?" Like, okay, cool. Like,
I mean, Daredevil was a pretty. I feel like a lot of people would still.
I'll challenge that. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it would get the reaction that you might necessarily think from the people that follow solely the Marvel movies, because there's plenty of people that watch the Marvel movies, don't read the comics, don't watch the shows, and have no idea who the fuck Punisher was on Netflix, or they might have seen it passing through, but they probably didn't stop to watch it.
But I mean, you could also say the same for the other characters they throw. They throw in random characters all the time that work out. Like, they've got movies that shouldn't have worked that are somewhat wildly successful, like Guardians of the Galaxy, where a tree is a fucking main character. Like, there's a lot of things that they've done in the past that shouldn't have worked with characters that have been introduced. So I don't think they necessarily need to have that previous knowledge of, who this person is, as long as they're introduced in the right way.
No, I'm not saying that it's not going to be done right. I'm saying that I don't think it's going to generate the reaction that people that follow
the general public.
That's what I'm looking for. Like, a general public's not gonna be like, "Holy fuck, it's Charlie Cox." They're gonna be like, "Oh, Matt Murdock, isn't he Daredevil?" And then, like, if he doesn't ever put the suit on in the movie, then his cameo is irrelevant.
I can see that. I agree. He would have to. He would have to be a dual role. Matt Murdock, Daredevil would have to show up in both.
Yeah.
And kind of. I mean, a lot of people did see the Netflix show. But I see what you're saying. You would have to kind of make sure that the general public understands that Matt Murdock, the lawyer, is also Daredevil and the crime fighter, and the economy between the two, and how he helps out other superheroes. And you would have to explain that in a small the small screen. I don't know. I'm excited for it because I feel like they could pull it off. It's just, I think the public would get behind it if it's written well, of course.
Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting to see at the end of the day. I didn't watch the first season of Daredevil. I watched the second one because I watched the first 2 episodes of Daredevil. And I couldn't get into it. I was like, I'm not into this. And then I watched the one when Punisher showed up. I was like, fucking hey, I'm into this because the Punisher is like my top 5 characters.
I would say there's 2 big fights from that show that I always think back to, and the first one's in season 1. Hallway fight, yeah, that was amazing. I don't know how you didn't like that. I didn't like it.
I just didn't like the show.
Fair. The second one is that it's also another hallway fight, but it's right after he knocks Punisher out. He's got to get him out of the building, and he's fighting all the dudes. Like, he's got Punisher in the elevator, and he just like he's got that chain. He just whips out the lights. Like, oh, that was well done.
The Punisher fight scene in the jail was pretty cool too.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, that was really good. Like,
and the fight scene in The Defenders, which that show sucked balls. But the fight scene in the office building was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a nice little nod to season 1 fights of Daredevil.
Yeah,
I barely remember that. I do remember a lot of the fights. The fights with Bullseye in season 3 were really cool, though. The way they did Bullseye was almost perfect. Where I'd almost love to see him as a villain in a Hawkeye movie, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I mean, there is some Hawkeye leaks. I think that Kate Bishop actually looks pretty good.
I didn't see the actual leak of that, but I know that's that was up here somewhere.
Yeah, she looks.
And cleverly, they released Kate Bishop in the Avengers game as well.
Yeah, which I think was like that game obviously needed something, but I don't know why Kate Bishop is their lead off when they need to get more people to play the game.
It wasn't supposed to be, I don't think. I think it was supposed to be Hawkeye first.
It was supposed to be Hawkeye first.
Yeah, but then they've also got, like, I've seen rumors that Black Panther's in there as well.
Yeah.
Like, you got Spider-Man at least for PlayStation, possibly for Xbox, but you have to pay for it. Like, what do you, like, release some of the big guns? Like, do something if you want to get people into this.
Yeah, that game has lost, like, as right now, it's lost $67 million, I think.
Oh, man.
That's rough.
It's probably not going to be getting back. But moving on here to our next topic here is which Marvel heroes would make the best villains? This comes from Screen Rant. And I thought their 3 choices were actually pretty clever here. They said Daredevil, they said Reed Richards, and they said Spider-Man.
I wholeheartedly agree with Reed Richards. Wholeheartedly. I think
so
Reed Richards is one of the... That's why the Baker was such a great character. Because when you find out his identity, which for the ones who don't know, I'm not going to spoil.
I think I already spoiled it earlier.
Yeah, we already spoiled it.
Okay, I wasn't trying to tread that lightly, but yeah, for it to be Reed Richards, he's like, oh. And then you kind of see how he would be the ultimate villain and take out everybody because he's one of the smartest, if not the smartest in the world. Like it's very hard to top that.
Yeah, I think him not being a villain is like, it's kind of like one of those things where it like just happened already. Like even the design of him in this fucking article, the picture of him screams bad guy. Like, like it's like,
beard
dude,
and everything now. Yeah,
it's like, dude, you're a bad guy. I mean, I think that Reed Richards as a bad guy would obviously with the Maker, yeah, he's that, but that's not like. That's kind of like a what's the word, like a cop out. Like it's not really necessarily him. You know, I think that if something happened where like if what's his wife's name?
Sue.
Yeah, like if she died, like, and he went ape shit, I think that's how he becomes like this god villain that could be at a scale of like. You could kind of say he could be like a Thanos level because he'd be so
he'd be so stuff you never even think of. He's like creating,
absolutely.
Open a black hole inside your body or something crazy like that. Like
like the thought of like something happening where Sue dies and then like he like somehow reaches to like Dr. Doom and is like, bro, I know we don't like each other, but like,
bro,
I need some help. I hate everybody in the world now, so. SOS. And I think that it would be a cool story arc. I think it would be a really good what if story too. But
Absolutely.
I think that the Fantastic Four, I said earlier on the show, I'm not a big fan of them. I think I think it's kind of like it's just cheesy to me. But I think that this concept is what could elevate it, and I don't like the fact that they haven't entertained the fact of doing it. If that makes any bit of sense. Daredevil as a villain, I don't see that at all. I don't really understand how that's even.
It makes sense. Like his background could have broken him. Well, no. I was saying like because of his back, like all the tragic shit that happened. His dad gets like beaten to death. He runs through the street, gets chemicals splashed in his face, and he's blind.
Every comic book
hero. Yeah, well, I'm saying a lot of comic book heroes they're not blind. You know what I mean? Like that is a pretty big deal at the end of the day. Like that's the kind of thing where he could become like angry. And he was actually sort of a villain for a short time with Shadowland.
Shadowland, absolutely, yeah.
I think I have that somewhere.
I never actually read that all the way through. I need to.
And then they talk about Spider-Man being a villain.
Same thing with his background.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm angry. My uncle just passed away. My parents are nowhere to be seen. I was lash out. I can easily see him being a good villain. But again, you would have to kind of take his skill set and everything, and to make him the best villain, you'd have to take his skill set and up it a notch. Like I said, if you get a chance to read that what if story,
I'm looking for that as soon as I can buy that. I know it's Peter Parker from Earth 8351. If I can find that book, it's sold as soon as I find it.
and if you find the Punisher one, grab me that.
I gotcha.
But what Marvel heroes you guys think would be a really good villain?
A good overall, like true supervillain type. I'm trying to think. There's got to be somebody that would just make that easy transition.
Oh, good.
I don't know.
Because there's guys that used to be villains. Yeah.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
The little one too many mind pushes, nudging people's thoughts. I can see him going over the board and being a great villain.
I didn't read X of Swords. I read the first issue of it, and I was really fucking confused by what was going on and how there was like these different I don't know if I read it wrong. Aitan, did you read it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so did I read this wrong? Was there like different portals bringing them to different dimensions ran by different groups?
Yeah. The whole thing with Ten of Swords, it's
it's Ten of Swords.
Oh, is it Ten of Swords? We've been saying that we've been trying to figure out, is it Cross of Swords? Is it X of Swords? Ten of Swords, I don't even think came up.
Wait, then maybe I'm not thinking X of Swords or Ten of Swords. Maybe I'm thinking of what was before House of X.
House of X.
That's what I was thinking of. That one was like the weird portal thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I'm out. No way. No, what the fuck's going on? But go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh, no. The thing is, Jonathan Hickman, he's one of those long, slow writers that kind of throws out nuggets of information where you're like, what does that have to do with anything? And then later on, maybe 20 issues later, you're like, oh, okay. That light bulb clicks and you're just like, okay, good. But with the whole thing that he's doing with the X-Men, first things first, making Moira McTaggart a mutant was just kind of groundbreaking. Because for the longest, she's been an ally.
I know that, yeah.
She's been an ally with the X-Men, but she's been a human, And then for her power, since you didn't know that, I'm not going to tell you her mutant ability, but for her mutant ability, it kind of ties into what you were asking me with the portals, with the different timelines that have been or may not have happened yet. So it's one of those things. It's a slow burn. The Ten of Swords that just passed was really good because it's not what you think it was going to be. They advertised it as one big tournament, which it was, but it's not what you think. And you just have to give it time. The way it's told is just very, very slow. But once you give it the traction, once it picks up, you'll love it.
It's definitely. It seems like it's one of those books that, comic runs, I should say, that if you read it as comic book form, because there's so many breaks, you'd be like, what the fuck am I reading? It seems like something that's better off reading as a full completion.
Yes.
Like House of M, if I had to read that individually, I would be like,
What the fuck?
What is going on? And I actually read something recently. Death metal's like that. The DC the Dark Knight death metal.
Mhm.
That shit, man. You just got to read it as a book. Like
As a book, yeah.
Yeah, like fuck the comic book. Like I have the first stuff. Just like the metal, just like the first metal run, and I tried to read it in chronological order. I printed out like the fucking reading order sheet, bought all four trade paperbacks, was going back and forth between the different books. And I was still like, what the fuck, man? And the new stuff is not any easier. Like Deceased is a super easy read. It's actually really fun. I like that book a lot. I think they're ending it maybe soon. Maybe it's either halfway through or it's almost done. I just picked up issue 6. But some books I just feel like they just need to be read as a book, and some can be read as a comic book every other week. But I would say Ten of Swords definitely sounded like something that needed to be done with that. But Matt, did you have something that you thought could be a?
Yeah, I have 2 options. For a sneaky one, a guy who you wouldn't expect that could be like a problematic villain, I'm gonna say Ant-Man. Just someone you wouldn't see.
Which version of Ant-Man?
I mean, I guess Hank Pym. He's more of a dick.
That's what I was going to
say. But like he could kind of slip in. He's super smart. Could slip in, grow. He could do the trick that everyone wanted him to do to Thanos if he wanted to really kill someone. Like, he's got enough tricks up his sleeve that he would be problematic. For a truly unstoppable villain, I'm sorry in advance, Aitan, I'm going to go with Thor. Like, if Thor was a bad guy, what the fuck are you going to do?
He was
what are you
like
going to do?
Remember the Thor arc I said we needed to read?
The one with Ragnarok, the clone?
No, the one where he like takes over New York City.
Oh, yes. I never read that. Yes.
I forget what it was. I have to look at this now.
Is that the Rune King
awesome.
Thor?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes,
yeah.
I think it was that one. And it's like he goes like ape shit. And I forget why. But Ragnarok is like right up, just like hovers above New York.
Wait, Asgard?
Asgard.
Like, sorry. I was like, wait.
No. Yeah. Just like hovers above New York. And I forget why or what happens, but he's like a bad guy in that kind of. And I read the first story and it was really good. And I completely forgot about it. And I got a new computer and it is not on my list.
Damn.
Fail. So now I got to figure out what the fuck it is. But yeah, I agree. I think Thor and I think Professor X would be really, really good choices. But before we get into the comics that you can find in local comic shops December 16th this week, I just want to give a quick fuck you to CW, because why are you bringing back Walker, Texas Ranger?
Wait. Stop.
Yep. I just saw this article popped up here.
But with
Jared Padalecki from
no.
They just released the trailer.
No. It only works with Chuck Norris.
Did you find the article?
This is sacrilege.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
Did you see the picture? I just want to say fuck you, CW. You guys suck at everything. Stop making DC stuff and stop this, because this is gonna fail real hard. Like at least put it on, like, I don't know, like when they redid MacGyver, that fucking sucked too. But I don't think they did.
Just stop. Oh God, that just
because Chuck Norris was like a badass karate dude, and
Chuck Norris is still alive. They could literally just do that show with Chuck Norris now, and I would watch it. I'd be more likely to watch it.
Like, what does Jared Padalecki know about fucking?
He's even
he fucking kills demons for a living.
Really, that was his actual job. Yeah, and they recruited him to be on.
Not one kick was thrown either.
Yeah.
No, I think he probably died like 30 times.
If we don't get a slow motion roundhouse kick, what the hell's even the point? That's how we close that every episode. Is he going to sing the theme song? Is he going to sing the damn opening himself like Chuck Norris did? Come on.
Well, anyway.
I'm sorry. That show was right there in my feels.
No. I just had to let the world know that Chad Padalecki is playing Walker, Texas Ranger. But anyway, as I was saying before, Matt, tell us, what can we find at local comic shops December 16th?
All right, we got a long one this week. From DC, we've got Batman number 105, Nightwing 77, Justice League 58, Dark Knight's Death Metal number 6, Aquaman 66, Superman 28, Catwoman 28, Rorschach 3, The Batman's Grave number 12, Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Crisis on Infinite Earths number 1, The Green Lantern Season 2 number 10, Teen Titans Endless Winter Special number 1, and Scooby-Doo Where Are You number 10. From Marvel,
in
we've
107?
What did I say?
10.
I forgot a digit. It's 107. From Marvel, we've got the Immortal Hulk 41, X-Force number 15, Fantastic Four 27, New Mutants 14, Captain America 26, Star Wars Darth Vader number 8, Savage Avengers number 16, Deadpool number 9, Iron Man number 4, The Magnificent Miss Marvel number 17. That's a blatant ripoff right there. How are they going to steal that from the marvelous Miss Maisel? Come on. Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood number 2. I still need to read that. I have the first one. Symbiote Spider-Man, King in Black number 2. King in Black, The Immortal Hulk number 1. Black Cat number 1. And Taskmaster number 2. That's interesting. I didn't know Taskmaster got a book. I would read that. Actually, Cam, can we add that to the pull list?
Yeah.
Thank you. From IDW, Lock and Key, Impale Battalions Go, number 3. Star Trek Voyager, Seven's Reckoning, number 2. Sonic the Hedgehog, The Bad Guys, number 4. From Boom, Once in Future, number 14. We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 4. Firefly, number 24. Power Rangers, number 2. The Expanse, number 1. And Mega Man Fully Charged, number 5. From Image, we've got 7 to Eternity, number 15, Decorum, number 6, Headlopper, number 14, Kick-Ass versus Hit Girl, number 2. I don't know how that goes for 2 issues. Hit Girl wins. Commanders in Crisis, number 3, Big Girls, number 5, Post America, number 1, Bomb Queen, Trump Card, number 4, Todd Toys Comics, Spawn number 1, remastered classic and red foil variant. Jesus Christ. Savage Dragon number 255 and Solid Blood number 17. Unsurprisingly, from Dynamite, we have Vampirella and Red Sonja number 12, Killing Red Sonja number 5, Die, exclamation point, Dynamite number 3, and Deja Thoris number 9. From Dark Horse, we've got Cyberpunk 2077, Trauma Team number 4, which I can only imagine is about the bad press from the video game. And we've got Barbalian Red Planet number 2.
There you have it, folks. And I'll say it because you forgot to, but here's a quick word from our sponsor.
That's your job.
Why Am I a Nerd podcast network has been brought to you by our sponsor, Me Moms. The best breakfast and lunch down the Jersey Shore with 3 great locations in Wall Township, Middletown, and Brick, New Jersey. Me Mom specializes in unique and fun takes on your traditional lunch and breakfast items. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can find more information at www.memoms.com.
We are back because that was the quickest. Yeah, there we go.
Quickest word.
Whatever.
All right, anyway. So this is my bad because I did not give Iton the book to read. I totally forgot to tell you about this, but still feel free to stick around and jump in on the conversation that we're about to have about it. We read what was the full arc of this called? Isn't there an overall arc?
I don't think so. I just know it was Mark Millar's run on the obviously Marvel
on Marvel Knights.
The interesting is that this actually did carry on, I think, for another 12 issues. Somebody else wrote it, and I was like, I'm out. But yeah, this was the big thing. I forget what you have them all, so I don't know what the all 3. Yeah, well,
it doesn't actually have a full on.
You have the first one too, still.
Yeah, it's just Marvel Knights Spider-Man. But either way, this is Mark Millar's arc, which was hailed as like the Spider-Man's version of Hush.
Which I want to touch base on that because I have my input.
Well, because it's not.
Yeah, at all.
It's not at all.
Not even close. So whoever wrote that article that we found this comic book on, which it's funny because I've always looked up top Mark Millar books, and this is always in the top 5. It's a
good book.
Yeah,
but it's not Hush.
It's definitely not Hush, but take it away.
Yes. So for Spider-Man Volume 2, Venomous, written by Mark Millar, art by Terry Dodson. As Spider-Man continues to search for Aunt May, things go from bad to worse for the wall crawler. Everyone's favorite symbiote, Venom, is back, as only Miller and Dodson could envision him. Hold on to your spit. There's a beatdown coming for at least one guy with a spider on his chest, featuring Black Cat, Venom, Dr. Octopus, and the X-Men, which is kind of a lie.
I agree.
Because Venom doesn't do anything in this book, and the X-Men are literally in like a picture in the background, like they're not really there.
Agreed.
Like he goes to the mansion, but he doesn't meet any of the X-Men that you care about.
But Matt, why don't you go ahead and read the synopsis for
the second one?
Yeah, and then we'll just go. Just so if anyone read back or listened back 2 issues ago, pretty much this book is Aunt May gets kidnapped by somebody and who claims that they know Spider-Man's identity, and they're saying like, hey, if you don't, we're going to release to everybody and we're going to kill Aunt May if you don't do something, and you don't know what it is and you don't know why, and we will touch base on why. So again, tune in next week if you don't want to hear spoilers. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and tackle this head on.
All right. So in Marvel Knights Spider-Man Volume 3, in the conclusion to the Marvel Knights Spider-Man super story, the identity of Aunt May's abductor is finally revealed. But is that the villain who really pulls the strings? Things heat up as Spidey and the Black Cat face off against the might of the Sinister 12. Holy cow, true believers. Did we just say 12? Even with the toughest nails Black Cat by his side, how can the web slinger possibly defeat 12 of the most powerful supervillains on the planet? The roller coaster ride that is Marvel Knights Spider-Man picks up speed, riding a corkscrew to its conclusion. It collects Spider-Man's Marvel Knights Spider-Man numbers 9 through 12.
So a couple things, Matt, that maybe you can remind me of, which I thought was really weird in this book, was the Avengers didn't know who Spider-Man was.
No.
But the X-Men do.
Yes. He's had a closer relationship with the X-Men because they're both outcasts.
Okay. Yeah, because when I read that, I was like, what? Like, this is a little strange. But let's just get the big thing out of the way. First of all, I think this is a great book. I think everyone should read it. I think it was really fun. I think it was well done. But the twist on who knew his identity when they first release it, that asks him to go for lunch.
Are we not giving spoilers?
No, we can. I'm just saying. I'm just getting. It
just makes it easier. Yeah, dumb. I agree. Like it was a letdown.
Yeah, the fact that like Scorpion's just like, yeah, it's me. I was like, what? Like,
yeah.
Who the
and
fuck
Spider-Man
cares
doesn't
about
even
you?
recognize him.
Yeah, he doesn't.
This just seemed like a vehicle for the symbiote just to go to Matt Cargan, which I was actually always curious about that storyline. I had never read it, and I knew what was happening as soon as I think it's the second book, Angelo Fortunato gets introduced. I was like, now I know what happens here. Like, I immediately knew what happened with the Venom character because I knew how Fortunato died, because I forget which book it got mentioned. I was like, damn, that's fucked up. Like, you know how bad you've got to be for the symbiote just to completely abandon you? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing though is that this does take place because of Norman Osborn, which I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
I did not see him pulling the strings from the jail cell.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah, I thought that it was that was clever. I don't think though you needed the whole like Scorpion was the big secret, because he really wasn't.
And he reveals immediately that he wasn't the guy pulling the strings the whole time.
Yeah,
like he like immediately he's like, yeah, but I didn't come off the plan. You're like, why the mystery?
Yeah, I mean, and pretty much the reason why they take Aunt May to why Green Goblin does it is really over my head. It was a little too much.
It was over. Norman schemes are always like very overcomplicated, and it was just like.
But it wasn't that. It was the fact that Norman knew about. So I guess what they explained in this book was that the reason why there's so many superheroes is because the government has an agency that was creating supervillains that would be set to specific superheroes to keep them
in check, basically.
To keep them in check and keep them busy. And Norman was gonna leak all this information, and they were
because he helped create a bunch of them.
Yeah, and they were sending Doc Ock, who was brainwashed, to kill him on whatever night it was, on Sunday night. And Norman was like, hey, if I can get Peter to break me out of fucking jail here and just say I'm going to kill Aunt May, then I can help him out, which of course is a bone-faced lie because that's not what happens.
Yeah, and he had all that stuff schemed up. It was a very overcomplicated plot, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was clever, but I also thought it was like it didn't make sense because there's not just some super organization putting out super villain babies. So that was a little.
You don't like The Boys? What do you mean?
Yeah, you're right. It was kind of like a fucking ripoff of that. Whichever one came first, I'm not too sure, but I thought that was kind of a little much. I do like the fact, and I thought it was clever, which when Peter goes to Jay Jonas and was like, hey, your son is Spider-Man. And then after Spider-Man saves the day, at the end of the book, Jonas is like, yeah, Spider-Man's a fucking man.
He's like, I was wrong about him all the time. Like, isn't he great? And his son's like, okay, sure.
Yeah,
like,
his son's like clueless about it. I thought that was a cool little nod that they did at the end of the first volume and then to close out the actual book. But I did
like, well, the one other thing, I like that Spider-Man ended up going to save Vulture's grandson after all that. He got the money from J. Jonah Jameson and took it back to, because at one point in the book, like Vulture's in the very beginning of the first book, and he's like, Spider-Man, you ruined everything. This wasn't for me just to steal money. My grandson needs an operation, blah, 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 blah. And Spider-Man ended up giving the kid the money to take care of him, even though he could have used it himself because his wife is in a shit ton of debt.
Yeah, and that was another thing too, which was a good nod, is when they throw in the Gwen Stacy nod, where he like Mary Jane somehow shoots herself off the edge of the building. Like she doesn't actually shoot herself. Like she's holding.
I think there's just like not a lot of space right there,
and like loses her balance,
falls
over, and he's like, Spider-Man's like, Peter Parker's like, okay, I know that Gwen Stacy's neck broke because there wasn't enough.
There wasn't enough webbing, so he's like, I've got to do this perfectly. He's like, I've gone through this in my head a million times on what I could have done to save her correctly. This is my chance to kind of rectify that. And he saves her successfully. He like shoots like 5 webs instead of just 1.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really good book. I would definitely read it again in like a year or two and I forget about it. But I mean, just like everything else, obviously it has its flaws. Just like everything in the world, everything has its flaws, and I think that this book had a lot of positive things going to it. I just thought that the reveal of Scorpion was a little cheeky, and I thought that the comparison to Hush and this book is
completely no. I thought because it was so compared to Hush, when he goes to his high school reunion, I was like, okay, this is where it's going to come into play. Like this is where someone from his high school knew his secret the whole time, put 2 and 2 together. And like Liz Allen was saying something about like, isn't it crazy how we're always getting attacked from being in high school and Spider-Man was always here and it feels like we're the only normal people. It's like, oh shit, is it Liz Allen? Like I was like, is Liz Allen like somehow secretly behind this? And then it was like, no, just Norman again. So that was a little bit of a letdown. And
I also thought it was the other thing too, which I had here in the show notes that really was kind of like quick and you would have missed it, is Eddie Brock commits suicide. Like, yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, they said I don't think he full on died. I think he just got really, really close.
Mm-hmm. Bro, he straight up split his wrists.
Yeah, but they said he's probably gonna die tonight. Like they don't say he's like. Let me see if I can find it on here.
But yeah, I mean that was a little kind of out there too. But yeah, I thought that it was going to be the reveal was going to be somebody. I even thought it was going to be maybe Black Cat Black Cat. Yeah,
that would have been crazy.
But then I was like, she already knows. Like she knows. Doesn't she already know that's Peter Parker anyway? So it didn't really make sense. And that the way they drew Scorpion, I thought he was Harry. I was like, is Harry not dead somehow? Because he didn't look like Scorpion. He looked like an Osborn. When you get to the if you can find that picture somewhere, Matt.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. There was one thing I did notice in this book. I took a picture, but I got to send it to you so you can edit it in for when we're talking about this. Fat comic book guy from The Simpsons makes a cameo in this.
Really? Does it really?
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to send you guys that right now. So you can see, I noticed it. I was like, holy shit. Like, they really just went for that. I'm going to text you guys a picture. Also, Spider-Man blatantly lets a guy die. Like, there's no getting around. There's a guy in a truck, and the truck blows up, and Spider-Man doesn't save him at all. And I'm like, you're not even a little concerned about this guy?
Yeah.
Well, it just went through.
I do think that between this and Kraven's Last Hunt, Kraven Last Hunt still takes the cake as one of the best Spider-Man.
Yeah, no question. This was good, but it doesn't hold the tier in the top.
Look, that is funny. That's a good. That is totally.
Yeah. Taking notes too.
Other than that, I think it's a great book. I think everyone should definitely go check it out. It's fun. It's quick. It's easy. It's Mark Millar. And
we love on this show. Apparently, we've read like 8 Mark Millar books.
Yeah, well, next week we have to read, I guess, the first. Oh no, we'll talk about what we're reading next week. Sorry, Dave, your books are still getting pushed behind.
You got to read Lucifer pretty soon here, but we have a special guest. I guess I don't know how to describe that.
Our super special. I mean, first ever type thing. But before we get into that, shenanigans engine this week, Matt. What do we got?
You know what? Reading this book made me change mine for this week. My shenanigans engine for this week is death. Because in comic books, it doesn't stick for anyone. You've got people that you think they're dead, you write them off completely, and they come back from the dead just to come up with more bullshit. And it's always a bullshit explanation as for how they came back. Death in comic books is complete and utter shenanigans.
I got nothing on that. I got absolutely nothing.
It's bullshit. Like every time someone dies, I'm like, this isn't real. They're gonna come back from something. Something's gonna happen. They're just gonna magically come back from this.
Yeah, I guess the only character that ever really stayed dead for a while is Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
No, they brought him back when the third Spider-Man movie came out. He was from a different dimension, but they brought him back temporarily and then killed him again.
No, but he's like the only one that actually kind of stays dead. And Batman.
And Rorschach.
Yeah, well, we got the second book. I haven't read it yet, but yeah.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
I have it over there.
Oh, God.
But anyway, so as we were saying, next week we were going to read Lucifer, but we got our first set of comics from an independent writer, Kyle Killen.
Which sounds like a supervillain name.
So,
but we'll
he's over from Electric Heart Comics. We have the comics; they're still actually sealed. We did not reveal them yet. We're going to film it, show everybody off, promote him. We look forward to meeting him via Zoom. Obviously, we're still doing this via Zoom right now, and he's actually out of I think he's at a Keyport, New Jersey here.
Oh no shit!
I think so. Yeah, he's a local guy. He's got a bunch of other local indie writers as well. So hopefully we get some more of those guys on the show. After that, the following week, we have Max and RJ from Monmouth County Memes coming on. RJ is another JR. I'm sorry. JR is another diehard Batman guy. And Max seems to like Captain America. So he's going to attempt to make his case on why Captain America is the best. And RJ is going to back me up. RJ, fuck, he's an RJ. JR.
Yeah.
There's another. I know another RJ. That's why. And JR is going to back me up as to why Batman is the best. And then obviously, Matt, your beat. Spider-Man just sucks.
I mean, Spider-Man would beat both of them. It's not even a question.
Last week you did say your favorite comic book character.
So Batman, yeah, but okay. Now here's the thing: in an extended fight, Batman's already admitted that he would not win against Captain America. The two of them are very evenly matched, all things considered. Spider-Man is far stronger and faster than Captain America, and has probably better stamina, I would imagine. So if you're going to pit the three of them against each other in an extended fight, I mean, as good as Batman is, I got to imagine he's the first out in that.
You just keep adding up more rules just to prove a point. It's why.
What do you mean adding more rules? Like, that's a thing. That's something you got to consider in a fight. That's something you got to consider. Batman's going to have a buildup of lactic acid in his muscles, where Spider-Man's going to be doing backflips all day, just, chilling.
This Spider-Man sense is so inconsistent. So it doesn't really matter.
Is wildly inconsistent.
It's probably not going to work.
Yeah, there was one thing in the first book. They're like, my spider sense doesn't work that well in the rain. I'm like, why? Why would rain affect it? Of all things,
yeah, exactly.
Why would rain, like an electrical storm? Sure, I could see that. Like, there's a meteor shower. Like, all right, solar flare, anything. But like a rain? Like,
I don't know.
What happens if you go swimming? What do you mean? Like,
and I think he says something like Venom also fucks it up too, or some shit like
that.
Yeah,
Venom's immune to it.
Yeah. That's because the bond between the Venom symbiote and Peter Parker.
Yeah, Venom knows how to kind of turn it off, so Carnage can do it too.
Yeah.
which is terrifying when you think about it. The amount of powers that Venom has that Spider-Man just like, I don't know where you are. That sucks.
Well, but that does it for us here today. Once again, this is Why Am I Nerd? Present Wud Up Comics. You can follow us on Instagram, Why Am I Nerd Official, Facebook.com/Why Am I Nerd, and listen to new issues every Tuesday on YouTube and your favorite podcast service. Aitan, it was a pleasure having you today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining.
You're always welcome. You may come
Appreciate
back
it,
whenever needed.
Yeah,
And
we're definitely be calling on you again.
Oh man, my number's here, man. Just hit me up whenever.
You got it.
But once again, we're the Nerds with the Mouse. Until next time,
We're out.
hey, we got it right.
Yeah, we nailed it.
We can fuck it up this time.